Good morning. We'll start with two short statements by the Secretary General and the Chairman, and then both will be happy to take just a couple of questions. Secretary General.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, let me welcome you to the NATO headquarters. It's great to meet you again. And Bosnia and Herzegovina is an important partner for the NATO alliance. And Bosnia and Herzegovina is a candidate for NATO membership, and our partnership dates back many years. And your country makes a significant contribution to our common security, to a clear commitment to regional dialogue and cooperation, and to your participation in NATO's mission in Afghanistan. I want to take our relationship forward, and we want to do that together. NATO is and remains committed to stability in the Western Balkans. Today we discussed the crucial reforms that Bosnia and Herzegovina is making, and I welcome what has been achieved so far in reforming the defense and security sector, and I count on you to continue on the path of reforms. Full integration into the Euro-Atlantic family takes time and effort, but it is worth it, because it leads to greater security and greater prosperity. Activation of the Membership Action Plan remains an important issue. It will be a positive step for your reform agenda. NATO stands ready to activate the Membership Action Plan once all defense properties have been registered to the state. Bosnia and Herzegovina needs to keep moving forward with this effort. I welcome the recent guidance by the Presidency on your defense review. We would like to see the review completed as soon as possible, including a plan for modernization of the armed forces. Bosnia and Herzegovina has the necessary tools to move towards NATO membership. We will continue to help you move towards the alliance. I call upon all leaders of Bosnia and Herzegovina to work constructively for the benefit of all citizens, and to undertake the reforms that are necessary for your country to realize its Euro-Atlantic aspirations. Let me then also add some very few words about the US elections. I congratulate Donald Trump on his election as the next president of the United States. And I look forward to working with him. And it is important that the bonds across the transatlantic bond remain strong. And we face a challenging new security environment, hybrid warfare, cyber attacks, and the threat of terrorism. US leadership is as important as ever. Our alliance has brought together America's closest friends in times of peace and of conflict for almost 70 years. A strong NATO is good for the United States, and it is good for Europe. NATO has responded with determination to the new security situation. But we have more work to do. And I look forward to meeting Mr. Trump soon and welcoming him to Brussels for the NATO summit next year to discuss the way forward. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I give the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stoltenberg. I will speak in my language.
Well, I would like to join in congratulations to President Trump And I wish that he will lead the United States in the best way possible in his term of office ahead, and that cooperation will continue. We are allies of the United States. The United States gave us firm support in the realization of peace, and especially in our path to NATO. So I expect this cooperation to continue. Today we had a good meeting here in NATO with Mr. Stoltenberg and his colleagues. I stressed some of the things and some of the facts that Mr. Stoltenberg is already aware of. He knows that Bosnia and Herzegovina has registered a host of military sites and the initial sites in Republika Srpska. But what should be stressed is that this is no longer a political issue, an issue of agreements. It's an issue of the rule of law, the registration of the remaining sites, and we need to work on the collection of documentation. The armed forces are in possession in the barracks, and of the things as required under the Tallinn Condition. So there's the decision of the National Court that this is all in possession of the state. And so the collection of documentation, legal documentation, might take some time. We might change some of the sites, but this matter in principle has been resolved. And the situation is similar with the defense review, which is another requirement to activate MAP and to have the first annual plan. We have harmonized the first 5 chapters. We have very precise instructions by the presidency to the defense ministry, and we expect the defense review to be completed by the end of this month. We think that NATO should keep in mind that in the region and in Bosnia and Herzegovina, certain negative processes are happening, and a strong message needs to be sent that Bosnia and Herzegovina is moving forward to NATO membership through the activation of MAP. So we need to keep in mind all of these things. We need to accelerate these processes, and I hope that the progress will be made already next month. I also proposed that NATO work together with the entire region. There are reasons to develop special mechanisms of cooperation and information exchange and joint activities with all the countries in the region to help us within the region to cooperate better. In that sense, I think that we need in certain points of high priority, we need to build a joint policy for action and to share the institutional burden. All the countries in the region should coordinate an institutional form of cooperation. We need a framework mechanism to plan coordination, and what I proposed to the General Secretary, the Secretary General, would be a special partnership agreement between Balkans and NATO, between West Balkans and NATO, and that would be to develop interoperability and cooperation between the region and NATO, support to civilian authorities, and for military response to natural disasters, fight against extremism, radicalism, and terrorism, joint exercises, crisis planning, establishment of cross-border procedures to provide mutual assistance in the security sector, and so on. As I said, a stronger influence of certain forces that are against the European path of Bosnia and Herzegovina, against Bosnia and Herzegovina's NATO path. I think that Bosnia and Herzegovina needs to be helped there to move out of the current standstill.
Question starting with Reuters.
It's one, Robin Emmett from Reuters over here. Secretary General, what does an election victory for Donald Trump's election victory, what does that mean for NATO, given that he explicitly set conditions for defending allies, basically saying those who don't pay up will not be defended? Thank you.
NATO's security guarantee is a treaty commitment, and all allies have made a solemn commitment to defend each other. And this is something which is absolute and it's unconditioned. The NATO security guarantees are important for Europe. but they are also important for the United States. So a strong NATO is important for Europe, but it's also important for the United States. And we have to remember that the only time that we have invoked Article 5, our collective defense clause, is after an attack on the United States, after 9/11. And thousands of NATO soldiers, also from Europe, Canada, and also partner nations, have been deployed and have contributed to the efforts of the whole alliance to fight terrorism in Afghanistan. And NATO continues to provide support not only for the efforts of our mission in Afghanistan, but also provide support to the US-led coalition fighting ISIL. We have just decided to provide, for instance, AWACS surveillance planes as a direct support to the coalition fighting ISIL, and we train Iraqi officers. That just underlines that NATO is important both for collective defense in Europe, but also to provide help and play a key role in the fight against international terrorism. And therefore, I'm looking forward to work with President-elect Trump. And I look forward to welcoming him to Brussels at our next summit next year, and also to meet him soon to discuss the way forward and how we can strengthen the transatlantic bond in challenging times with a new and more challenging security environment.
Bosnian TV.
Elir Bucela, Bosnian State Television. Since anyone else will ask you about American election, I will stick to Bosnia. So Bosnia Membership Action Plan and the Tallinn preconditions. European Union recently switched to the more realistic approach to Bosnia. Is it a time for NATO to do the same? I'm not talking about the change in Tallinn preconditions, but changing the way how NATO is considering the efforts from Bosnian side. Thank you. So that's the question for both of us.
Okay. So NATO remains fully supportive of the membership aspiration of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and we will continue to support Bosnia and Herzegovina implementing the necessary reforms. And I just discussed with Chairman Izetbegović how we can step up and increase our support for Bosnia and Herzegovina. We have the different partnership programs which are addressing exactly how we can help Bosnia and Herzegovina. And we are working on the implementation of the different elements in that plan to make sure that we are delivering as much support as possible in support of Bosnia and Herzegovina's Euro-Atlantic integration. We still, of course, focus on the importance of implementing what is called the Tallinn conditions, the registration of defense properties by the state. And the chairman updated me on progress which has been done there. And we will also, at the foreign ministerial meeting of NATO in December, have a report on the Western Balkans, including the progress which Bosnia and Herzegovina is making on implementing the necessary defense reforms.
Well, it's exactly the same idea and the parallel that I drew as Mr. Stoltenberg. I drew a comparison between what the EU did and what NATO has not done so far. So they changed the sequence of the priorities from those easier ones to the more difficult ones. When we restart order, progress has been made in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So I asked Mr. Stoltenberg to do the same on behalf of NATO. So if you have so we have these forces in Bosnia and Herzegovina, why should we put in their hands the mechanisms that can allow them to do that? So We have the armed forces in all of the military sites. There is the court decision that this is state-owned property, and registration has begun in Federation and Republika Srpska, and the EU should do a similar approach and send a similar message about the perspective of Bosnia and Herzegovina and West Balkans. So the opponents to these efforts should not play with white players in this chess game.
Trump has articulated a different sort of approach to Russia. Do you expect NATO to change its tone or make any adjustments to the enhanced forward presence as the Trump administration takes effect? And to follow up on your last response, Mr. Trump has talked about a larger counterterrorism role for NATO, which seems to suggest not just the kinds of training that's been done in Afghanistan or in Jordan, but an actual bigger role in European counterterrorism. This is not something that's necessarily popular with other allies. Is there room for NATO to do more than what it's doing now to fight terrorism?
NATO has already decided to step up its efforts to provide support to the coalition fighting ISIL. And we decided to maintain our presence in Afghanistan, which is our biggest military operation, and we are in Afghanistan to fight terrorism, to prevent Afghanistan becoming a safe haven for international terrorists. Of course, we will always assess how we can do more, both to stabilize our neighborhood, to fight terrorism, but also, of course, provide the necessary collective defense in Europe, making sure that we provide the necessary deterrence. That's the reason why I'm looking forward to meet President-elect Trump, to sit down with him and to discuss the way forward, and also to welcoming President-elect Trump to our next summit here in Brussels. Because that provides the platform, that provides the opportunities to sit down with a new US president and discuss how we can all live up to what is our treaty commitment to provide collective defense based on the idea of all for one, one for all. And to be able to do that, we have to respond and to adapt to a more demanding security environment, including hybrid threats, terrorist threats, cyber attacks, and many other kinds of threats and challenges. So this is something we are working on in NATO. We have made important decisions. We are implementing decisions. And I congratulate Donald Trump on his election as president, and I'm looking forward to work with him on all these important issues and to discuss the way forward when we meet.
This concludes this press point. The Secretary General will be back at around 11:30 with the President of Finland. Thank you very much.